All right, everyone, we got to talk about two issues here because they're sort of combined within this story. The main issue, though, of course, is Trump is verbally attacking the FBI right now, saying, well, Clinton lied to you multiple times. She gets off scot-free. Now you're destroying Michael Flynn's life. Yes and no. Yes, in the literal sense. Of course, Hillary Clinton, she had to have lied to the FBI. Much of what she said we know to have been lies. Comey could only even let her off by saying, yeah, she did wrong. For anybody else, we'd prosecute, but, we can't. She's a Clinton, so she covered her ass too well. We can't prosecute. There's not enough evidence, or we're unwilling to. The FBI, apparently, according to its own internal documents, didn't even look into the tarmac meeting with Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton beyond saying, hey, we need to find out who leaked the fact that this actually happened to the press. They didn't even care, I guess, about the content. Which means by then, in my mind, they had already made the decision not to prosecute and were uninterested in looking into it because it was a lost cause. They realized that Loretta Lynch had tainted the investigation, I think, by that point. There's like, well, there's nothing we can do. Let's just let it go and try to suppress as much story about it as possible so we don't look too bad. However, Flynn did knowingly lie to the FBI. On that token, it's not the FBI attempting to destroy his life, it's the FBI charging someone with what they have actually done, in the most literal sense. The problem arises when you realize that Clinton did many similar things and got off scot-free. That doesn't mean Flynn should get off. It simply means that the FBI apparently picks and chooses who it decides to prosecute, based either on its own wishes, whether it likes the person or not, perhaps, or we could say it's less malevolent, and it has to do with the fact that the Clintons are better at covering up evidence of their criminality than Michael Flynn. I would state, of course, that lying to the FBI about these particular topics is not going to destroy Flynn's life. Maybe in the professional capacity, but he's hardly going to end up in a cell for 20 years. He'll get a slap on the wrist or nothing, and then it'll be done. It's also not going to endanger Trump's presidency. In what realm of sanity would Trump even continue bothering to talk about these issues so fervently, openly blasting the FBI itself if he thought that there was any possibility that he was culpable for any criminal wrongdoing? The tweet, of course, that everyone's still fixated on even today, which is slightly surprising that they're so fixated on something so dumb. He says that the tweet saying, well, I had to fire Flynn because he lied to the FBI. And they're like, aha, obstruction of justice. Haha, he knew that he lied to the FBI and didn't say anything and still had him on his campaign. Then, fired him when Pence spoke up, basically. He says, well, my lawyer wrote that. And the lawyer says, yeah, I drafted this tweet before it was tweeted out. So it wasn't Trump doing that. Good luck proving otherwise. It's never going to happen even if you're correct. You probably are. I pointed that out. Trump probably did write that tweet. His lawyer probably didn't draft it. And it probably is covering President Trump's ass. But is it really that big a deal? I would think it's a little bit different. Saying, well, yeah, I fired the bastard because he lied to the FBI, I would think that's a little bit less bad, despite the connotations, from maybe what Hillary Clinton did, which is potentially endanger tens of thousands of pieces of potentially classified material by storing them in her fucking bathroom. I would think that's more important, and yet people say it's a phony scandal. But Russian collusion is real. Now, the real Russian collusion was Hillary Clinton also with the Uranium One deal, which everyone, again, claims to be a phony scandal. Benghazi was an actual scandal. Look, they didn't even tell us the real timeline of what had gone on. Obama and Clinton blamed a fucking YouTube video for that, and everyone wants to ignore that fact and focus on, well, Hillary Clinton didn't do X, Y, and Z. Okay, but she did try to blame a YouTube video for the attack, which we now know to be totally false. A YouTube video that, based on what was in it, looks like it was made by a bunch of government agents having a lark, and they just decided to use it as a scapegoat. It was some sort of inside joke, I guess, at the CIA or some consulate members. And they said, well, no, one of these actresses doesn't want to, wasn't paid or, is claiming copyright, which is bullshit. And so the government makes sure you can't actually view it on YouTube. Did you still know that? Never for another video has that ever been done. Now, there's a reason why that's unique in my mind. Then, of course, we've got to talk about the other part of this report, which is Roy Moore. Despite the fact that he allegedly, and it is still an allegation, had various episodes of sexual impropriety, including with minors at the time. Despite this fact, he's ahead of his opponent, it seems. In the last 2 polls, he's either tied or a point or 2 ahead. That's according to CBS polls, so not exactly a right-leaning firm. The Democrats, therefore, think of what this means. A lot of these people are like, well, the Republican Party is trying to shelter a child molester. Allegedly, very much true. The Democratic candidate is so weak and the Democratic Party so weak they can't even beat an alleged child rapist. Oh, okay. Now that makes your party look really, really strong. So I would see that as a problem. Tom Perez should be shaking in his boots at that fact. If Roy Moore actually wins, doesn't matter whether it's Alabama, the Democrats, after losing, if they do, there's about a 75% chance Roy Moore actually wins here, which I think is like, it's a little bit screwy, but, there's a good chance. They'll just do what Democrats usually do. And they'll say, well, yeah, but it's Alabama. They're all like inbred, in hillbillies, really, really deep red. So that's why the Democrats couldn't win. It's hyper-partisan. Trump poisoned the well, so to speak. They'll blame Trump. And then Trump will say, yeah, I'll be willing to take credit for his win because we are winners and you're losers. And that'll be really funny to see their run-up response to that. Who knows, of course, what it'll be. So we've got a weak Democratic Party. A sitting president, their only defense against Trump at this point is to hope he's impeached. They don't seem to be able to outmaneuver him any other way. They don't seem to be able to do anything. They still don't have a platform, still waiting for them to tell me what it's going to be. What are the 3 or 4 big things the Democratic Party, if people vote for them in the midterms, what are you planning to accomplish over the next couple of years thereafter? What are your plans? What are your platforms going to be? Are you going to help resuscitate the middle class? Are you going to, or is your platform basically, we'll try to impeach Trump over and over, and we'll try to stonewall anything he does because he's Hitler? Is that going to be your 2-part platform? Oh yeah, by the way, we like minorities more than those other people, so you should vote for us. More wedge issues. That'll probably be their 3 platforms. Hey, we're not Trump. Hey, we're less evil, and hey, we like wedge issues more. That'll be the Democratic platform, just like it was in the last election. And that's why they'll end up losing if that happens. There are a few people waking up. Gillibrand's woken up for personal reasons. She wants to be a presidential candidate, I think, or a heavy hitter within the Democratic Party, a charismatic Kennedy-style figurehead, at the very least. But at least she's got her mind in the right place, if not her heart. Bernie Sanders knows what's up, but he's not a Democrat, and they still want him to run. Oh, let him run again. Give him a pass. The fact that he got the game was totally rigged against him. He probably figured that out, but he still refused to actually openly attack his opponent because of a glass ceiling, and, don't punch left. It's like, what a weakling. I don't think you want Bernie Sanders to be your candidate. No, I really don't. You may like him for his charisma, his attitude. Oh, he's kind of an outsider. His ideology's literally out there. He's outside the Democratic Party. Well, don't you think that's a problem too? I respectfully disagree with the Goodman types. I don't think he would have won against Trump. I think he would have fared better, but I don't think it would have been enough. In fact, he probably would have had less support in the Rust Belt. Honestly, I think he would have had less support. He just would have made up for it elsewhere at a larger level. He certainly would have still won the popular vote in California or something. Probably would have grabbed Florida up. But it wouldn't have been enough. No. In no means would it have been enough, I think. And it would be a mistake to try to run someone that far left against Trump. What you need is a hybrid candidate who can play with the younger lefty crowd, but also the business Democrats. Because the neoliberals will just vote for whoever has a D after their name. Trust me, you don't need to wine and dine them by giving them their establishment sacred cow candidate like Hillary Clinton. They're going to vote for them anyway. They're still going to fund them to the tune of millions if they're allowed to. Big problem with Bernie Sanders, he probably wouldn't take their money. He probably wouldn't have been willing to. You're going to need that in order to go up against someone who sign a $200 million check to himself like Donald Trump. He can prime the pump as many times as he needs to. Hey kids, I need you to sell off that Indian skyscraper. I need a quick $50 million cash injection. Yep, he can do that. It's from his own wealth, or supposedly. By the way, you haven't heard much lately about, Trump is violating some fiscal premise because he has a fortune. Yeah, he's not supposed to be rich. while being in office. Like you had a problem with that in any of the other 10 million cases where it actually has happened. It's okay if John McCain has 7 homes and lots of business buddies. That's not a problem, but Trump has business associates. It's okay if the Bushes are still in politics. We like them now because they don't like Trump either. Probably because he's richer than they are. They feel jealous. There's real problems in politics today. People are being dishonest, hypocritical. They don't really know what's going on. They're poorly informed. Trust me, they're not poorly informed because of fake news from the alt media. They're poorly informed because of fake news from the legacy media. They're poorly informed because, hey, you're not getting any information from ABC or Fox or CNN. They're just telling lies all day. Now, they've been doing that anyway, but it's even worse now. Again, you look back at the Pew Research study from earlier this year. This was months ago, a couple months ago. Where they looked at news coverage for the first, I think it was 180 days of Trump's presidency and compared it to the first 180 days of past presidencies. Overwhelmingly negative. By I think a 2-to-1 margin. Way, way different from anything from the past. Even Bush got more of a pass than Trump had. Even towards the end, Bush probably had more positive coverage of his presidency than Trump has had when he was in the dawn of being the president of the United States. These people barely know how to react to him. They certainly don't know how to outmaneuver him. They don't have a clue. So I look at Trump attacking the FBI verbally. Some people are saying, oh, he's trying to deflect off, he knows that the gig is up, so he's trying to deflect onto Clinton. Rally his supporters for civil war, I guess, or something. No, I think it's more he's taunting them because he knows that they've got jack shit on him. If the best that they can do is indict Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort, it's not going to cause the collapse of the Trump presidency. If anything, they step a few inches too much further. And they disgrace themselves, give him a cause to just verbally ream them and fuck around with their agency. And then they'll have to come out anyway and admit, yeah, there's no collusion with Russia. Oh, yeah, Trump just rose 10 points in approval now that that elephant is off of his back. Or should I say donkey is off of his back, Democrats are the ones that primarily are pushing it. Meanwhile, the Democrats are so weak they can't even beat Roy Moore. They can't even beat somebody. He collapsed by over 10 points a few weeks ago. Do you not remember? He quickly rises back up, which was predictable, but I mean to actually take a slight lead possibly. In polls that could be oversampling the Democrats by 5 or 6 points for all we know. It looks like the round of polling from Virginia was roughly spot on. If that's true, Roy Moore is a half a point or a point ahead. Well, then he wins the election there. What's it going to say for the Democratic Party when somebody who's got, what 5 or 6 sexual allegations against them can win his seat against the Democrats? By the way, you're not addressing Conyers and Franken. You've got a few people saying, well, Conyers should resign. What about Al Franken? Is he too sacred? He's too powerful within your party for you to even want to discuss the issue, I think. Pelosi doesn't want to talk about Al Franken. She barely wants to talk about Conyers. She addresses it once when you think about resigning. Then she stops talking about it. What a coward. Meanwhile, they want to say, well, Trump is endorsing Roy Moore. Look, you've got an actual settlement with Conyers and you're not doing anything about it. A settlement and now I think 3 allegations. With Franken 5 or 6 and you've got photographic evidence. You've even got Franken coming out and saying, yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I'm not sort of sure what I'm apologizing for, but I'm really sorry about the fact that I did these things. People are saying that I did. You've got basically admission plus photographic evidence in one case. Actual legal settlements in another that are really problematic. You've also got, now I can't remember his name, there's a Republican recently that used taxpayer funds. He should resign because he used taxpayer funds to pay off the settlement. Big no-no. Use your own fucking money. You make millions of dollars. The Republican Party should expel him from Congress. I'll dig up his name. I'll put the link in the description down below, in addition to the other stories here. But you're busy talking about Roy Moore. Roy Moore denies it all. And it seems like at least one of the stories, which I think involved the 14-year-old in that case, kind of fell apart because it looks like there was never any yearbook signing that went on. So it looks like the story's actually got a gaping hole in it. Well, if that's the case, then it just boils down to, yeah, Judge Roy Moore is a little bit creepy and likes them young, but it doesn't mean he's actually done anything illegal. Well, if that's the case, then absolutely you should keep running. And it's not like Franken. It's not like Conyers. Those are cases, you've got basically instances of workplace violence with Conyers. I would think that the Democrats would want to save face. If you want to cast yourself as we're more moral than the party that has evil orange Hitler, well then you've got to Actually kick these people out of Congress. Tell them, either you resign or we're expelling you. Look, we'll all vote in favor of expelling you. We want you out. The Republicans certainly will vote for expelling you because you're a Democrat. We'll let them take over your seat before we're dealing with this, with the, the fallout from such a situation. We're not going to shelter you, Franken, Conyers. Just like the Republicans, if they're smart, they're not going to shelter that other, I think he's in the House, that one representative who, I mean, he pays off a settlement taxpayer money. That's even worse than paying it off from some collective fund like Conyers did. He's, oh yeah, don't worry, people in my state will take care of this for me. And he's some fat fuck too, which is really funny. He looks like the sort of person who would be into that sort of shit. That's about all. Peace out.